Today he took his test flight, you know, it's his first flight ever, so they're a little shaky, and you want them that way. You want them to be cautious, you don't want them to, and that's what we instill at the zoo level. And what the parents would do out in the wild, they would nurture the chicks along and basically baby steps, getting them going. So again, these birds don't have mom and dad out there with them, so whenever they do these small steps like he's doing today, these small short flights, safe flights, that's a really good sign. It's a sign that we did our job and that he's on his way. Now he's got the challenges of what's out in the wild, the uncontrolled aspects of what he will interact with, power poles, power lines, lead poisoning. You know, they've got some challenges. For me, it's been great because to see him come full circle from an embryo all the way out to release in the wild, and really fortunate that he was one of the ones that went out today. Having spent so much time in the field, I always saw the latter half of the process. Basically, I would get the birds from the zoo level and release them. So when I came up to Oregon, I got to see what happens on the egg level from the day that the egg is laid by the pair, nurturing that egg all the way until it's hatched and raised. To see a chick that came from an embryo the size of basically smaller than a dime, and now to see him out taking flight for the first time, you know, it's hard to put into words. Oregon had the privilege of coming in later in the game in the captive breeding program and learning from what the other facilities had done. And that's basically what we incorporated at the zoo, was all the techniques that had worked on the captive side and put them into one. And just to progress, basically to advance the husbandry techniques to get these birds even more prepared than they've ever been. So 340 is our first test run of this experiment, and so far so good. So the main goal tonight is that the rest of the day, keep testing his wings, get feeding regularly with the flock, find water. There's a water source up there that they have to find, and of course tonight they have to roost up off the ground. And you'd think that would be instinctual, but as you can see, this is a pretty open chaparral grassland area. Their first night out in the wild is going to be star-filled and moon-filled and pretty spooky. They'll hear stuff crawling around on the ground and looking down, oh God, what's going to eat me? And that's why they need to be up, and that's the first positive reinforcement they get, and their first step towards surviving out in the wild is picking a good place to perch at night. But his first night out, he'll be scared. I don't think he's going to sleep much. Being condors are very social, very gregarious, and that's what we want, to find strength in groups, and hopefully the 3 chicks and maybe some of the wild flock come in and watch out for him. And a lot of times that happens, some of the wild birds that come in and keep an eye on him. Right. This is just the start for him. This is phase 1 of the big picture. He's out in the wild now, and he's got to integrate into the wild flock. And by every indication, he's going to do really well. He was the dominant bird in the captive flock here with the other release candidates. And that's why he was one of the top ones they wanted to get out this time around. He's the most prepared of all the birds. And that says a lot for Oregon's program.